Oliver. Thanks for watching the Coriolis Effect. Please hit the subscribe button below, and we hope you like this episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Unidragon Wooden Jigsaw Puzzles. Unidragon has amazing gifts and products without the huge price tag. To say that these puzzles are amazing really does not do them justice. They are wooden puzzles that become artwork in your home. They are colorful, expertly designed, and created to last a lifetime. So my friend and I have been getting one puzzle a month online. We've been ordering them, and we came across this site called www.unidragon.com, and they have the most amazing wooden puzzles that are truly a form of artwork. They last a lifetime, they are colorful, they are expertly designed. They actually have this world map that ranges from 51 to 110 inches wide, and they're made from oak, walnut, sapele, and even acrylic mirror. They have wolves, lions, fishes, foxes, bulls, unicorns, just about anything for anyone. They range in size from 10 inches to 7 inches high, the little ones. And they now have a new panda puzzle with the coolest looking panda bear holding bamboo leaves. I love pandas. You really need to go to Unidragon.com to see their selection. They're just extraordinary. Unidragon takes pride in providing a quality product and carefully inspects each puzzle before shipment and offers a 100% money-back guarantee if you're not completely satisfied. Unidragon really stands by their work, and that's one of the things that I loved by them. They ship internationally and also offer free shipping to the United States, Canada, and Australia for orders over a certain amount.
These are actually interesting because they're not square or rectangular puzzles.
That's gorgeous.
So when you look at like the wolf or the lion and stuff, it's the head of the lion, and there's no square edges.
No, there are
no square edges. So these are quite difficult, but they're actually worth it. And what a great thing to do with your family. Like even if you have kids, you can get a whatever their favorite animal is, and then sit down as a family and do the puzzle. It's great. And then afterwards, you can hang it on their wall. It's a piece of art. They really are beautiful. Look at that butterfly. That's gorgeous. I love that.
Look at this fox one.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful.
The wooden jigsaw puzzle alluring fox.
Wow. And it's a great price point. It's wooden. You could literally keep it forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
$40 for a wooden puzzle.
Yeah.
And 10% off. Plus, if you buy 3 of them, it's 33% off.
Wow, that's great.
So basically, buy 3, get 1 free.
Unidragon.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Aqua 9 Plus all-natural ionic mineral alkaline drinking water. Aqua 9 Plus is one of the first and only all-natural ionic mineral bottled drinking waters in the world. It has one of the highest and most stable pH of any bottled water on the market, with a pH ranging from 9.5 to 10. And I gotta tell you, besides tasting great, high alkaline water has so many positive health benefits. It increases your endurance, it deactivates pepsin in the body, which helps reduce the occurrences of upset stomachs. It neutralizes pesticides and fungicides on produce. It increases oxygen delivery throughout the body, and it helps reduce heartburn and indigestion. When you consider that coffee can have a pH as low as 2, which is very acidic, that pH can be neutralized by using high pH water. And a medical study has suggested that alkaline ionized water may have benefits for people with high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. You can go to aquanineplus.com. That's AQUANINEPLUS.com to find the nearest store that sells Aqua 9 Plus all-natural ionic mineral alkaline drinking water. They also sell a home water system which produces purified ionic mineral 9.5 plus pH drinking water naturally directly in your home without the use of electricity.
And you
wow,
can also
that's cool.
Yeah, and you can also find filling stations at local grocery stores. If you go to their website, aqua9plus.com, they'll tell you where the nearest filling station is near you. So you go there with a 5-gallon jug or a 2-gallon jug, pay your money, and it fills it up, and it lasts for a couple of weeks.
There's actually one at Air One. There's all the Air Ones. It's a great water. It's really great water. It actually tastes great. We are grateful to have them on the show and supporting us.
Yes.
But I also love their water.
No, their water tastes great. Hey, let's start the show.
We'll carry each other.
Aww.
Oh, I've never
Oh my God. She's adorable.
Oh my God. I cannot.
I hope.
Did you tell him to say that?
No.
You didn't?
No, it's just natural. We'll just carry each other.
You really didn't?
I swear to God.
Am I being punked?
No, you're adorable.
No, I've never.
You
ever.
are adorable.
Thank you.
If this is being captured, it needs to be on the.
I'm sorry.
No.
This
Okay.
is the promo on the YouTube channel forever.
I hope you don't have running mascara.
No, I don't care. It's fine. I truly though that literally like.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. This is the Coriolis effect, where the right meets the left and creates a circular motion, and you come together with a driving force to agree to disagree or agree or disagree. Mike San Pedro is here today in the studio, and I am grateful for him because I've only met you one time. But there was like this instant connection of a spirit connection, I think. Godly
Yeah.
connection, a divine
Well,
connection.
He's cute.
I have that effect on women.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, if you're just tuning in and you can't see him, he's obviously God has blessed you, but
Well.
you are kind and you have a clear path of who you are and what you want to do in life. And we were talking before the show, and
Just
no
picture
pressure.
Tockett from Miami Vice. Was it Tockett?
No,
Crockett. Oh my God. Sonny Crockett, Don Johnson. It's like Jesus, Sonny Crockett, and I don't know who else, but in that order.
But really, you just
And Luke Perry, Dylan McKay. I
yeah,
like
you
him.
do actually. The late Luke Perry. That's true. But we were talking too, and we were wondering how long it would take for me to cry, and literally you looked at me and said, "We'll carry each other."
That's a record. It was like 0.05 seconds.
Well done. I've actually never had a guy say that to me. So, you know what? If I never see you again, thank you for carrying me during this show because
No
you are a
problem.
beautiful man and that's
Words-
a wonderful thing to say.
Words are important.
Thank you. Yes, they are. Well, Mike, tell me, I'm not going to go and talk about who your dad is and how faith is in your life and gone through that.
That's what everyone asks me. They literally say, "Tell us cool stories about your dad," and then they'll say, "Well, how does this affect your faith?" And then my response is kind of disappoint them if I'm being honest. But that's usually how it goes. But I mean, it's okay.
Well, we're not going to talk about your father. But if you want to talk about your father.
It's
I actually want to know, first of all, we can talk about your father later, but I'd like to know who you are and what drives you and what your passion is. And we can talk about why, who your dad was and how he
Sure.
impacted your life. And
sure.
But tell me a little bit about Mike San Pedro.
I am a recovering screw up. I like to say that.
We all are.
It's tough. Fathers are important, and when they lack, children lack, and society lacks. You know what I mean? So I spent my 20s trying to figure out who I am and what I was going to do, and a lot of mistakes. And then, in my early 30s, I turned the corner there and kind of started figuring things out a little bit. Because there's so much to figure out, like in this world, like you got to figure out who you are, what you want to do, finances, you know what I mean? Where do I start? What do I do? I don't know anything. So, I'm a recovering screw up, just
When you say
turning the
recovering
corner.
screw up,
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
The whole idea of this show is to be transparent
Sure.
and share our stories and figure out where we can meet on
Yeah.
a common ground or how much we are alike or not alike. But what, in your opinion, because, your screw-ups might not be as bad as somebody else's.
Oh, mine are pretty bad.
But are you comfortable talking about those screw-ups? 'Cause
Yeah, I'll talk
this-
about anything.
this is-
Listen, my screw-ups are everyone else's screw-ups. The difference is I don't have a problem saying, "Hey, here's my closet. Check it out."
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're all guilty of the same things. And if you, for example, Cory, if you are transparent with someone and they say, "Oh, well, I can't believe you did that," they've probably done the same thing, if not worse. You got to show people grace because we're all guilty of the same sins.
Well, what does the Bible say? I know Bob's like, how does she know these things? It says to take the plank out of your own eye before you start to poke it in your brother's or your sister's.
Yeah, like we're all guilty of the same sins. Like we're just trying to do life together.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'll just carry you. We'll carry each
I
other.
know.
She started to cry immediately. I didn't think it would have that effect.
I
on
think
her.
because you don't know my story,
Yeah.
and so I get that.
Oh, that's
but if you did, you would understand.
Yeah.
I think. And those words
Yeah.
from a guy, for me, even if it's just in this moment
Yeah.
of interview,
Yeah.
to say we'll carry each other,
Oh, I
that's like
appreciate
pretty
that.
amazing. And you're a gift. That's a gift
I appreciate
I may
that.
never hear them again, and so
No,
like you just said them to me.
that's not true. That's not true.
Everybody who you meet who's listening to this podcast will open with that line.
I know you can't because Mike
When
San
this airs,
Pedro.
you're going to get text after text.
Mike
It's
San
been
Pedro
claimed.
coined the phrase.
I've coined it.
Yes, you've coined it. So tell me a little bit about like a specific, I think. So we can, people identify with other people in ways that are specific. And
So, I grew up in a very wealthy home, Speaking of Luke Perry, you remember like when you watch 90210 at Dylan McKay, right? His dad's like this like criminal, like
yes.
mobster guy.
I was on that show, by the way.
I know you were on that show, like season 8 or something like that.
When I watched that from in front of the camera.
I know.
And it's so funny how art imitates life because I was a little kid watching this like a child, and I remember saying,
Okay, let's not go too young.
This is oddly like my life, like a dad who's not around, who's a mobster. The kid's growing up by himself. He likes to read and write. I like to read and write. His birthday's a day after mine, October 10th. His day, October 11th. Yeah, he drove a Porsche. I drove a Porsche. Like it was just like all these like similarities. And I was like, wow, art imitates life. You know what I mean? And then you don't think about it when you're a little kid, but you're like, hey, I don't feel so alone now, even though it's just, now as adults we say that's just a guy on TV.
You find a writer on the show is his best friend taking all from his life.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. That's a fun fact. But I think that's my whole point of like you here today
Yeah.
is somebody will identify with it and say,
Sure.
oh, wow, he went through this and how did you overcome it and how did you get through it? But we'll get to that point later.
At 21, I was declaring bankruptcy.
Wow.
Because you grow up in a lifestyle, seeing your dad in this lifestyle, but he doesn't give you any money. He's got $60 million. He doesn't give you anything. Right? So you're like, I don't know how to live anything other than this. And then credit comes so easily because it's part of the scam.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It's part of the scam to get you in that rat race.
Scam.
Yeah. And so, and then I'm here, declaring bankruptcy at 21. I said, okay, no more debt. I learned my lesson. So then, I'm not going to be a drug dealer because you can't be a drug dealer nowadays. There's cameras everywhere. So I'll be a bookmaker. So I started taking like bets and I started making, but you see how those roots in that lifestyle that you grew up seeing, it's almost like it doesn't want to let you get away.
We just talked about this on the last show.
Yeah.
It's a generational
thing.
Yes.
And I think, I have strong opinions about how God is involved in people's lives. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the way that you see it on TV because it's a way it's very obvious on TV how he is involved and it keeps you coming back and giving your money, and I'm very skeptical of that. But, at like 25 I started saying, hey, like I'm going to end up like not in a good place, and I started turning the corner little by little, and then when I hit 30 not too long ago, I was like, okay, this is not working out for me. And I had a girlfriend I really cared about, and she was like, look, I just can't because of of me, of who I was, and so
she just couldn't see you.
She just couldn't be with me because listen, no one wants. I've already got a couple strikes, right? Like, listen. Your daughter comes home, right? She says, hey, Mom, I met this guy. Oh, great. What's his parents do for a living? Oh, his dad's a drug trafficker.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I already got that one strike against me. Like, it would be a little different because you know me and you feel my vibe and you'd be like, okay, this kid has nothing to do with that. But on the onset, you're like, listen, don't bring that circus here.
Okay.
So I've already got that strike. And then, women want to see a man that's productive, that's going to work, that can provide. Yeah, you make a lot of money, but no one wants to marry a bookie. You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to. So I said,
so tell me, let's stop right there for 1 second. Because I've only met you a couple times, and the couple times I've met you, you're so sensitive, and you're like a tender heart, and everybody wants love. Right. And so having those, you called them strikes. I don't think they're strikes, but having, we'll say merits against you or whatever you want to call it. Demerits. Yes, thank you.
No.
You haven't given up on love. You just, it was...
So the way that I cope with the voids left in my psyche, right? Mm-hmm. Because of both my parents are horrible. Like, I have terrible parents, mom and dad. The way that I cope with that is that I try to be very paternal and very father figure to people, which is we'll just carry each other. That's where that comes from.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where most people will say, hey, I'm missing this, let me go and do drugs or this or that. I say, hey, I'm missing this, well, let me go and be this for someone else.
That's great.
And then that's why, chicks love it.
But you just said, your girlfriend said I can't be with you.
But at that time, I wasn't who I am now. We're talking in my 20s. I was a wreck in my 20s.
Okay.
Like, I was just,
Okay.
out of control.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't have a way of coping with my family background.
So we'll
I had to
talk about
figure it
your
out.
family background, but so you didn't have, you weren't parented, is what you're saying, at all? Or was this more
When I was 3 years old, my mom and my dad had already separated. You might want to get one of these tissues. You're going to start crying.
Oh my God.
I told the story. It's really, listen, people hear these stories and they're like, and you feel my energy. People hear these stories and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, listen, it's really not a big deal. Like, Jesus saved my soul. Everything is great. Everything is fine now. I learned from the past. But, you cry and you're like, oh, this poor guy. Like, listen, don't feel sorry for me. Like, if it wasn't for these things, I wouldn't be who I am now.
And that's, you're helping people. So
I'm helping people.
Yeah.
So my mom and my dad had split, and I was like between homes, and then my mom got this new boyfriend. So you had what were called in that time Marielitos, which is people that came over on the Mariel boat lift in the early 80s. So towards the late 80s, I'm a kid, I'm like 2 years old. The way that they started making money was drug dealing. A lot of drug deals in the 80s, especially in Miami. So she was dating another drug dealer, right? She goes from one drug dealer to another.
How long sorry, I have a question.
Tell me.
How long were your parents divorced until she had met another drug dealer? How much time
Oh,
passed?
I don't know. But probably not that long, knowing my mom.
Okay.
And I keep it light. And so the guy doesn't speak English, and he tells my mom, listen, I need an interpreter. And my mom says, okay, let me take the kid. So my mom takes me to a drug deal at 3 years old. Now, if you read the book, How to Get Away with Murder in America, An American Desperado by Evan Wright, this is all verifiable. And so at that time, obviously my mom knows everything about my dad. So they go to a drug deal in Miami Beach. She gets arrested by Hialeah police. My uncle, Johnny San Pedro, is captain of the Hialeah Police Department. My dad is called the Hialeah Corruptor. She's in Miami Beach, gets arrested by the Hialeah Police Department. You understand? So at 3 years old, I was taken to a drug deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
To interpret.
And
To interpret.
You were the integral part.
I remember that
do you
day clearly.
I was just going to say, not only do you remember that day, but do you remember what you interpreted?
I remember a lady police officer holding me. I remember my mom handcuffed. In Spanish, the word is esposada. She was handcuffed, sitting on a curb. And I remember my brother coming and picking me up. He was always there for me. Like, he knew what was going on.
Older, younger?
No, older.
Yeah, his 2-year-old brother came and picked him up. He was 3.
She's so
Oh,
cute.
no, you were 3 when you picked her up.
I was like
Younger
3 years
brother,
old.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
talking like
sorry.
89. I'm like 3 years
got
old
you.
or something like that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like,
No,
this is where
he's
the
older.
heart's coming.
He's older, he's older.
All I'm thinking is, we'll carry each other.
He's
Sorry,
older. He's
I'm
older.
listening. I am.
Yeah. So then, So I mean, that's the start of my existence. Yeah.
Wow. And so take me through then. You are living in LA now.
Yeah.
But you lived in Miami.
Born and raised,
Born and raised.
Miami-Dade County.
Okay. But somewhere along the line, I feel like you were a welder, or you are a welder.
I am a certified welder. I said a couple
I
of...
find
That was when he was
fascinating, by
5.
the way. He's like child prodigy. Yeah.
No, that was part of my turning point as a recovering screw-up. Because I was like 30, and I said, my dad never taught me anything. Like, I don't know how to do anything. Like, I'm a loser. Like, if the global economy collapses, I'd have to sell my wife for food. Like, I don't know how to do anything.
Gosh.
I'm useless. I'm just like, I don't have any skills. So I took money that I had, and I went to private welding school, and I became a certified welder
That's pretty cool, though.
with the County of Los Angeles.
I know. I loved that.
And weren't you just like a couple months ago up on the high steel, like 40 stories up or something?
Yeah, I was up in the Dakotas. Yeah,
And
welding.
what were you doing?
Welding.
Welding
Yeah.
a
What
giant
happens
building,
is-
or I mean,
Fixing
pipes.
Abe Lincoln's nose.
Yeah,
wow, we might have to
traveling welding.
find him now. With everything going on. It's a
Traveling
whole
welding's a big deal because there's a lot
demand
more
for
welders retire than
Yeah.
go into welding. So you know,
Now, was this skyscrapers, regular
pipes,
Pipes?
like pipe fitting. Yeah.
So then tell me, because I know a little bit about you.
Yeah. Well, now you know a lot more.
Because I've been stalking you since we first met. Bang away. You know what? I'm not fixing it. I'm not doing sound design. I'm going to let every time you hit the table,
I feel
every time
so
you bang your head on the
Why
mic,
do you
you're
say
going to
that?
be
It's
pops and clicks,
No,
and
because
that'll be it.
It's just Bob and I. So tell me, now I got all flustered because you're yelling at
I
me.
wasn't yelling. That's not my yelling voice.
No, I know what I had. I know what my question
Tell
was.
me.
So you were right. You have parents that you obviously love your parents. You just they were not the kind of parents that I know you're not going to say you don't. They're the kind of parents that you don't really want to have. Obviously, you want
Clearly.
somebody to raise you. But
Yeah.
you
if I had good parents with my genes and my high IQ, I would be president of the United Nations right now.
Yeah. Well, I believe that.
Like 100%.
But this is what I'm wondering, because you have to get, whether you're a right, Republican, conservative, or you're a left,
Right.
Democrat, liberal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You get that from somewhere. Somebody is your influence. And, I have my influence from both sides of my family. Where did you get, I know you're pretty conservative, and you
Yeah.
care about this country, and you are very patriotic.
Yeah.
And so, where did you get that? Was that something you learned in school? Was it your friends?
Well, up until I would say 2008, things were very Republican versus Democrat.
Yes.
I think we're a little past that now.
Yes.
But
Where do you think we are now?
I think we are entering tribal, whatever you want to call
I
it.
thought you were going to say the Twilight Zone.
No,
Because it kind of feels like that at
we
times.
we are that, but I think we're entering into a very tribal.
Back to basics
time
existence.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think America balkanizes, looks a lot like Europe in the future. It splits up.
You're either my side or I don't want to hear you.
I'm sorry?
You're either on my side or I don't want to hear you.
Yeah. They I think it'll balkanize, and I don't think it's sustainable. Democracies have a lifespan of 250 years. I think America turns 250 in 2027. Mm-hmm. We've got like this $1 trillion in debt, and I don't think it's sustainable. Yeah.
Well, I happen to agree with you there.
Yeah.
I do. I agree. There's so many things and so much propaganda and videos, and we're
Yeah.
inundated on a daily basis. There used to be a day, and I have friends that are journalists and award-winning journalists from years ago, and they would say that you had to have 3 sources, credible resources, in order to print something.
Yeah.
And you don't now.
No, now
you
they
don't
just
even
say
have
it's
to,
an unnamed source.
Right.
And if you say, well, who's your named source, then that reporter looks at their ethnicity, if they're Jewish or black or whatever, and then they say, well, you're being anti-Semitic by asking me that, or you don't like black people, or you're
Right.
like that's what
which
they
isn't
do.
the case at all. It's just
Yeah. But I remember my dad being upset because Reagan was cracking down on the drug trade. Mm-hmm. And I knew that he was a nefarious character. So I was like, listen, this guy's pissed off at the president because he's cracking down on the drug trade. Like, I know, like, what's right or wrong. And I think people have an internal compass. Like, this idea where, oh, I'm like this because my dad was like this. Like, that's not true. Like, your dad beat your mom, and it clearly didn't end well. So now you're going to go and you're going to beat your wife? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're just doing it because you're a douche. Right. Like, you've got a compass. Like, everyone has that. And then if people are like, oh, well, this person and their background. Listen, no one has a worse background than me. Okay, when you were taken to a drug dealer at 3 years old, then come talk to me. If I can do it, you can do it. I've got a brain, 2 arms, 2 legs. Yeah. I'm no different than you. If I could do it, you could do it.
It's a choice. You gotta make
It's a choice. It's a choice. But
You're right.
But people like in America, you get points for being a victim. So it doesn't. There's no incentive to pull yourself out of this victimization that life birthed you into, because you can just get more points being a victim.
And when you say points, define points. I know what they are, so I want you to define it for our audience.
Woe is me. Oh, this girl, poor girl. Let's make her a martyr for this movement. Or, oh, let's, a social media cloud. And now she's the representative for this group. And, oh, we feel so bad for her. That's what I mean.
Own it, is what you're saying.
Just own it.
Own it.
Just own it. Listen, you suck at life. Get better.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I sucked at life. I just admitted it here. I don't know any of you people listening to this. I'm a recovering screw-up. I sucked at life. I was bankrupt at 21. I was a bookie. I sucked at life, but I don't suck anymore.
You don't suck anymore. And that's the whole point, right? Is to dig yourself out of the ditch and make something of it. We only get one chance to have this go round at what we call life.
And what you make out of yourself is nothing. It's a pro tip. Are we still saying pro tip? Because that's like 2015 where people were saying pro tip.
That's a tennis racket, isn't it?
I don't know.
Or, no?
Pro tip? It sounds like it should be if it's not.
I absolutely love Cory.
I don't know.
You
Do you
are
play
great.
tennis?
I do not play tennis. I'm a man. I'm just kidding.
I think he means a tip from a pro.
Oh my God. I got you. Okay, well, I want to know at what point. We said we were going to talk about your dad at the end, but
we don't have to talk
pro
about
tip,
him.
Urban Dictionary. To offer advice or suggestion to resolve a problem.
Yeah.
Oh.
Often used in context of emphasizing common sense, a very strong opinion,
There you
or
go.
to belittle, mock a person's point of view. I think that's what he meant.
Not that one.
I know that's not what he meant. He's going to carry me through
We're
this.
carrying
Do you
each
know?
other. I just, I think, I just think that finding your way, and here's my pro tip, finding your way is the exact opposite of what the secular world is telling you to do. Whatever the world is telling you to do, the secular world, whatever is popular and correct, is the complete opposite.
Well, one of the things that I've told my daughter all along, and I still tell her, and I'm still learning it, and I'm still developing it and implementing it, is to listen to that check in your spirit. That's your gut, that gut feeling. Don't go against it. I've gone against mine on many occasions, and it's not served me well. And it's that little voice that's in your head that says, no, go right, or take this turn, or do this, or do that. And you don't.
It's so funny you say that. My
did you get
dad,
lost coming here?
Huh?
I said, did you get lost coming here?
I actually got a appearance ticket by a cop. I got pulled over by the FHP because I don't have a license plate in front of my car. Because I'm gonna be honest. Like, my car's $90,000. I'm not digging 2 holes in the front bumper to put a license plate on it. Like,
A lot of people feel the same way you do.
I'm not gonna do it. Like, I'm sorry. So I'll just go to the court and pay the fine, and that's it. And then he gives me an appearance in court. But I'm like, California sucks. Like, you come here illegally, no one does anything. You break federal law, no one does anything. But if you don't have a plate in front of your car, then you gotta watch out.
California is the state where you can walk down the street and buy marijuana at 4 different stores in a half a mile.
Yeah.
You want a plastic straw, you got to meet a guy in a back alley and don't give him your real name.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's so true.
Why did you come here?
I make a lot of money here.
Okay.
So it's a stepping stone. But about your intuition comment.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, my dad gives good advice.
Wow, wait, stop there for 1 second.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He gives very street-wise advice. My dad is one of the few people who beat the government. Like, most people go to jail. My dad made an entire career from the age of 12 to 60.
Wow.
Because when they came from Cuba, my dad wanted a bike. And then my grandmother Dulce is sweet. There was nothing sweet about that woman. My grandmother Dulce says, if you want a bike, go get a gun and get the bike. So that's what my dad did.
It's good advice from your grandmother.
That's good advice from my grandmother.
Okay,
You want a bike? Go get a gun.
Go get a bike. Go get a bike. So my dad's been like this.
So we're talking about generational root.
Generational root.
Was his parents in the same business?
Or were they just kind of...
Well,
that mentality?
my grandfather was a horse trainer in Cuba under Bautista. Back then,
Oh,
Cuba
wow.
was like the Las Vegas. So I'm sure there was some nefarious activities going on. But my dad does give good advice.
Okay, what is that?
You're never going to forget this.
Okay.
Everyone listening to this is never going to forget this. My dad says, your gut is ahead of your mind and your heart.
It's absolutely true.
Intuition, and I remember he goes, your gut is ahead of your mind and your heart. Intuition, and he points at his gut. intuition. Intuition.
He's right.
He's 100%
Every single
correct.
time I've gone against it, it's been one of those moments where I go, oh, why did I do
Why
that?
did
I
you do
knew
that?
the signs were there, the red
Right.
flags, whatever it was. And it's that check in your spirit, that gut feeling.
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where it's connected to. I know Christians would say it's the Holy Spirit, right? And God's guidance.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
I don't, I would like to think that also. I mean, I don't see it, so I don't see
know.
where it's
Everybody's
plugged
different.
into. Everyone's different. I don't know how it works for some people that are doing nefarious things in the same way it would work for us if it is godly. I don't understand how it works, but my dad did say that.
And have you listened to that?
100%. I can be at the craps table and I'll feel the thing saying, pull your bets. And I'll say, no, one more roll and I will roll a 7.
Are you still doing that? Using it for that? You still at the craps table?
Craps tables are fun. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know what craps is.
It's just when you throw the dice, you can't roll a 7.
Okay.
And
Well,
every
you can't
time.
roll a 7. Your first shootout, you can roll a
Yes.
7 or 11, you win. After you roll something else,
You can't
it
roll a
becomes your
7.
Point.
Okay, here's
7, you lose.
my one moment in Vegas.
Yeah.
I get married to my first husband, and we get married in Vegas, and he wants to bet, and I'm like, I've never bet in anything in my life.
Yeah.
And so I see this guy taking off his watch and turning it in to get money to bet, and I was like, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. Like, it brought me to tears. I just thought, this is a problem.
It is a problem.
It's a problem for some people.
If
and
you notice,
it's
it mainly affects men. Have you ever known any women that are degenerate gamblers?
Yeah,
No.
I'm not alive. Mine was, I was
No.
at the, my first wife, we were in Vegas, and I was at the blackjack table, and my wife comes to me with like 3 buckets of quarters. She won like a $300 slot. And goes, I said, okay, I'll change it. Here's another $20. Go play your slots. So I change in the money. She comes back to me 15 minutes later. Can I have another 20? Oh, I lost all that money.
Oh,
That money was gone 10 minutes ago. And she's like, how have you? I said, look, I know what I'm doing. I know how to gamble. And then I lost $300 in like 5
And
minutes.
it's funny because it's a problem for everyone. And it used to be a problem for me too. Now, I'm okay with doing it. I'm okay with not doing it. I'm okay with walking away. But I remember losing a lot of money. I think it was 2016. And I lost $72,000 in Vegas. And I remember... And I remember it was like I went to war with myself.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, like, who's in control of my life? Like, me or this little thing in my brain that's telling me to gamble? And it's almost like I beat it up. Like I said, hey, you sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear anything else from you. And I think I've done that for a couple of things. Like, I don't want to do this. Leave me alone. Some things like that have been from the onset. Like, I've never done drugs. I've never drank. Like, I've never been peer pressured.
Well, just for those of you tuning in, we're talking to Mike San Pedro, the son of a drug dealer. To say that you've never
That was very smooth, that
done
transition.
drugs is really...
Yeah, I've never done it.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, to me, it just doesn't... It just mathematically, I'm very analytical. I'm a full-time Libra. I'm very analytical.
Oh my gosh, when's your birthday?
October 10.
Mine's September 29th.
Are you a Libra too?
I am. I'm not really into the whole
You know, but you
signs or
are, but that's
anything,
why we
but
get
I'm
along.
Really, yeah.
That's why you're so sensitive. We're very sensitive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They
That's
said
why we-
Libras carry Libras.
Yeah, Libra.
They do?
she's
Really?
adorable.
Sure.
She's adorable. And it was the math just isn't there. Like, I've never met someone, and I remember thinking this when I was like 11 years old. I said, I've never met someone who said doing drugs was a good decision for my life. So why would I do it? Like, if I was a girl, I would be so prude. Like, I would never, because like, I would be so prude because I don't know any women who are 45 years old that say it was such a good decision to like spread eagle for like, all in high school and college.
Thank you.
No one's ever said, like, I've got men lining up to marry me after I spread eagle for a football team. Like, no one's ever said that. So like,
think-
how is that a good decision?
Bob's going to insert the definition of spread eagle. I don't know, maybe but I get what you're saying. I think, and as
Maybe I'll just put a graphic.
You're so innocent.
I
love it.
But no, I agree with you. I was raised in a home where my mom said to me,
Yeah.
"If don't do anything you don't want Jesus to see you doing if he were to come
Yeah.
back today."
And God can see in the dark.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
kept me a lot purer than a lot of
Yeah.
other, situations. I'm not judging anyone. It's just
Sure.
everyone has their own path and journey. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So we're relating it to the drug situation, though.
Yeah, so I just don't-
You just didn't
Because it just didn't work out.
have an
And then
appetite for
I
it.
didn't have an appetite. And then it's odd because, well, it's odd, but it's not. My dad, who gives very good advice, I remember him telling me, I sell drugs, I don't do them.
Really?
He goes,
At what age did he tell you that?
When I got back from the drug deal, 3.
yeah, I got back from the drink. Maybe I was like 13. He goes, the CEO of McDonald's, he's selling you that poison and you're getting fat, but he's eating filet mignon and lobster. He doesn't eat that.
Wow.
He goes, I sell it to make money. I don't do it.
And so at what age did you, he is wise
He
man.
gives great, yeah,
He does.
he gives great advice.
At what age did you unfortunately have some sort of parting of the ways with your dad? And do you talk about why, or is that something that you just...
It's not a parting of the ways. Like, my dad could call me right now and say, hey, I'm miserable. Everyone hates me. Can you come wipe
And
my
you
butt?
would.
And I would. It's just that my dad's it's just a very difficult person to deal with. And at some point, you're like, listen, like, this is just exhausting. Like, when I was in college, I didn't have any money. I was bankrupt. And I remember telling him, listen, I need money to pay my tuition. And he didn't want to give it to me. Now you got to understand, the FBI, when that whole thing was going on, which is a crazy cool story, they said my dad's net worth was $144 million. They were able to account for $60 million. Now this is in the 80s and 90s. That's a lot of money. You're talking almost $500 million.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my dad, look, if you don't want to help me, like, it's going to be on your conscience. And he looked at me, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, listen, kid, in my line of work, I don't have a conscience.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad's a gangster.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you
Top level.
Yeah,
That's
like top
top
level.
level.
Like, my dad's not like top level to the point where...
He's going to listen to this interview and say,
No.
okay,
There's
so
like a
I
whole
just want to say,
Isn't
for
he
the
also-
sake of argument,
isn't he also
I love you,
OCD
Dad.
or-
My dad's very OCD. Like, my
Oh my
dad...
gosh, we'd get along. I'm not
Yeah.
OCD, but I'm just like...
My dad irons his underwear. He folds his dirty laundry. Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny.
It's like sleeping with the enemy.
He's like super OCD. Yeah, he's really OCD.
Movie, that is. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
movie.
yeah. But if you tell him like I remember one time he drives, it's so funny how, father and son, like, he drives a white Jaguar XJ. I went and bought a white Jaguar XJ, and driving it, I said, oh my God, my dad has the same exact car.
Did
You
you
didn't
remember
realize
before you
that.
bought it? Or
No, I was
after?
buying it. Like,
It's
in
really,
the car, I
I
said,
know, I've had those things happen too, and it's pretty...
it's gnarly.
the generational root.
It's a generational
I don't
root.
know. There's no way to explain it.
Yeah.
So do you miss him?
I do.
What do you miss about him?
I miss his aura.
What's his aura?
Like, my dad turns heads everywhere he goes. He's important. Like, he has ASP engraved on his sleeves of his, like, long sleeve shirts. I've never seen my dad in shorts. My dad leaves in
Ironed underwear.
ironed. There you go.
It's tough to walk.
And but I miss also, like, he does funny things. Like, I remember one time his rims were dirty. He doesn't like being told what to do. And I said, Dad, your rims are dirty. I like them like that. Like, he's very, like...
Is he remarried?
Yeah. But, it's, he says something to me. He says, whoever controls the money controls the
house,
relationship,
the
controls the
whole thing.
house. And so what happens is, you as a woman, you're used to a certain lifestyle. And what are you going to do? You're going to get a job at Macy's?
Yeah, well, they're out of business, I think, pretty much.
They're gonna-
I don't know. How...
Well, before we get into let's take
What
5
am I
minutes, 10 minutes, talk about his father, who he is, and how it all happened.
Well, yeah, so you were talking to Mike San Pedro here, who is the son of
Albert
San Pedro, who is a very famous, well-known... I don't even know what the title would be, so I'm not going to say it. You can say it. It's over to you.
Drug dealer? Narco trafficker?
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny.
Was, not is. He's not currently. He was.
No, he's retired now.
He's retired, and
he's retired now. He beat
Yeah.
the government.
Tell
Wow.
that story, because that's fascinating.
So, if you guys read the book How to Get Away with Murder in America by Evan Wright, in the 70s and 80s when the government was trying to like roll back communism, do you know the story, Cory? Have I told you the story?
I feel like you told me a little bit of it, but I would love to hear the full story.
So when the government was trying to roll back communism, like in the 80s with Reagan, they hired a mafia bodyguard named Ricky Prado to carry out targeted assassinations of communists in Central and South America. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So all that stuff, that the CIA, that we're the good guys, whether we're good or bad, I don't know. That's up for debate. But we definitely crack a few eggs to make an omelet as a government. At that time, there was a drug dealer called Gary Terriaca, who was my father's connection in Colorado, trying to move west, right? Because the drugs flow through Cuba. Castro allows the drug dealers access to the island, right? He wants to flood America with drugs so that Americans are high. He wants to hurt Americans. And then they come in and then they drop them in, the Key West, Key Largo, and then you move them west, right? So funny, really quick.
I watched Queen of the South, and this is all like
at 8 years old. Like I knew how to throw off the dogs on a car if you were trafficking cocaine, because I saw people bring down a gas tank, cut it in half, seal it back up, put the drugs in one half of the gas tank, the gas in the other half of the gas tank, and then it throws off the dog's scent.
Wow!
At 9 years old, right? It's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I mean, was it something that you witnessed and you saw?
Yes,
I taught you and said, "Hey, little Mike."
I witnessed because this is what's going on.
I'm just wondering, if there was like a bad parenting moment.
Well, this is like, you know how like your dad would take you to work and he worked as a...
My dad was a bartender. Yeah.
Well, my dad was a drug dealer. I saw drug deals.
Okay.
If your dad is an electrician and you saw wall sockets.
Wow, but that was a pretty intense description of one of the things that,
So, and then Gary Terriaca didn't want to turn over some drug profits. So when he turned on his car, it blew up. So those things you see in the movies, they really do happen.
Wow.
At that time, Mike Fiston, who was a detective for the DEA, was brought on by the FBI to investigate this car bomb. And he's like... and I'm not saying anything that's not public information. If you buy these books,
no,
you
it's
can
in the
read
book. Yes, of course. We're not outing anybody.
Like my dad says, what you want to know is what the FBI wants to know. What you know is what the FBI already knows.
Right.
I'm not saying anything.
Right.
It's like when this guy from Cocaine Cowboys, Billy Corbin, he DMs me on Twitter back when I had 30,000 followers before I got banned.
Wait, we'll talk about that in a minute. Why did you get banned?
From Twitter? Oh, because I'm not politically correct. 30,000 followers. Oh. But he DMs me and he's like, "Hey, can I have cafecito, coffee with your dad?" So I tell my dad, and my dad says, "Look, what he wants to know is what the FBI wants to know, and I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. Everything he knows is what the FBI knows. Mm-hmm. He wants to know what they don't know, and I'm not saying that." And so when the FBI and Mike Fiston are investigating this car bomb, they're like, this is like professional work. Like, this isn't like some guy who threw in like a cocktail. What do you call those? Molotov cocktail. Like, this is like legit. Maybe. And then that was their first like inclination that maybe this was like someone on the inside. And it was someone on the inside because the CIA had hired my dad's bodyguard who did that to carry out these target assassinations. So you fast forward, there's like this cat and mouse thing. And
this is your father's already dealing drugs?
Yeah, this is way into it. My dad was doing it since the early 70s, before anybody knew what cocaine was. Like, no one knew what it was. You would get police, at that time, you would get police escorts. You would just tell them, "Hey, I got bags of kilos of sugar. This is caffeine." They didn't know what cocaine was in the 70s. Wow. And you would get police escorts to drug deals. Wow. I got tons of drug dealing stories, but this is not a drug dealing podcast. But I can tell you everything. Yeah, you would get police escorts. And so you fast forward my dad's trial, and basically the judge says he was prosecuted by Dexter Layton, who's married to Ileana Ross Layton, who was a U.S. House of Representatives. Mm. Yeah, my dad got a pardon He was.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's what my dad says. He goes, it's not even. No, he goes, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Because we all know the president of the United States, but he can't do anything for us because he doesn't know us.
That's right.
That's what my dad says. So they had subpoenaed like Senator Claude Pepper and Governor Bob Graham because they had wrote these like pardons for my dad. Like he had gotten a pardon from the governor, and they wanted to know, why'd you give this guy a pardon? And they wanted to know how a letter from my dad ended up in the governor's mansion, taped to his bathroom mirror. I don't know how my dad did it, but he got a letter to the governor of Florida taped to his bathroom mirror. So it's the first thing he saw when he woke up in the morning.
What did
It's not like the governor put it up. If somebody snuck it,
Someone
put it on the
put it
mirror,
in
and the
there.
governor
Yeah.
walked in and saw it on his mirror.
So
Can I
they-
ask what the letter said?
I don't know. So
If I can get this letter on the mirror.
So when
I
the
can
governor
get it.
says, I don't know this guy, well, we want to know how you have a letter from him then. And so anyways, but you fast forward, and because, you know, you have all this,
movie stuff
you
right
saw this
there.
CIA steps in, and the courts basically say, listen, the integrity of the United States is more important than this man. Because they can't let out that, hey, this guy opens up his mouth that the CIA is hiring mafia bodyguards to carry out target assassinations. It's not going to make us look really bad.
Was your dad ever worried that he would be next on the list? You think they'd ever
Should we
come
be
after
worried
him?
that we are right now? I mean, this is like intense stuff.
No, because my dad has been in the city of Hialeah since he was a kid, for 60 years.
That's in
It's a municipality.
Municipality?
In
Florida.
In Florida.
Florida.
In Miami, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, like, everyone knows him. Like, if something was up, he would know before. Yeah, but this is, like, a long time ago. It was never...
No.
And
And
plus,
have you ever talked to him about this stuff?
You know, it's a little bit intimidating to talk to my dad about this stuff. My dad's very intimidating. Like, there's an aura about him. Like, I mean, people can't see this, but you've got your cell phone there. Like, if I was my dad doesn't know you. He just met you. He would go like this. Make sure you weren't recording.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, you
I
know.
can't say that I blame him on that
So he's
one.
like
I mean,
that,
I've sat at
you know?
restaurants and people are literally like, you're like, are you?
Yeah, so my dad's very like that. And, like, if we were all, like,
Jennifer
sitting...
Aniston?
Like, if we were, like, you and I kind of, like, we just, like, selected where we were going to sit, I guess.
Right.
If we went to a restaurant, like, my dad would be like, you're sitting there, I'm sitting here.
That's why
You know
when
what?
you and I went to lunch, you kept saying, sit there, let me see your phone. Now I get it.
Well, oddly enough, I have a friend who likes to sit where she can see everything, and I always
Yeah.
let her because I know she's got the 411 on everything
Yeah.
that's going on. But so
Jump to,
Tell me.
you
Ask me
mentioned that you, I know, like, right before this interview, he's like,
well, this is how the interview is going to go, and it's like it's kind of going that way.
But it could only go that way because the whole dad thing, it's like the centerpiece of my life. It's who
Of
I am, for
course.
better or for worse. So it draws you
course.
in. And somewhere my dad is sitting in his 8-bedroom house with 12 bathrooms saying, there's someone talking about me right now. And
Yeah.
because I remember one time they went to, he went to a party with my mom in the 70s, Senator Claude Pepper. My mom told me this. My mom's really pretty. And my mom walks in, and my dad always likes to show up late because he wants everybody to see him. And so they walk in, and everyone turns around, you know, to see my mom, who's really good looking. And my mom says, hey, Albert, did you notice how everyone, like, turned around to look at me? And my dad goes, what makes you think they weren't looking at me? Very self-indulged, very high IQ individual.
so would you say sort of borderline narcissistic?
He's super narcissistic.
Okay.
But he
And
gets
so-
away with it. He's cool about it.
Yeah, there's nothing cool about a narcissist.
No,
Sorry.
but how
Sorry, but I won't
how
go
he
there.
does it. No, but how he does
But I
it, you're just
understand.
like,
I think I've had a bad experience with
Two of them.
yeah. No, he's just like, there's something like how he, I don't know. It's
I
not
get
what
it.
you do, it's
I
how
get
you do
what
it.
you say. There's you know, several of my friends have met President Clinton.
Yeah.
And he might not be the most favored, you know, right now, but they said he just had this
Je ne sais quoi.
they call
Yeah.
it.
Very charismatic.
Very
Very
charismatic.
charismatic.
He owned a room. He commanded a room.
Of course.
And so I
Trump
get
does the same thing.
He does do the same thing, and I get it.
It's just what it
I
is.
guess depends on which room you're in.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, yeah. So, having said that, at what point for you,
I know I'm going backwards to a question.
You can
but-
go wherever you like.
Okay, well,
We're carrying each other.
yeah, I love that. What made you go the direction that you you have as far as your politics and faith, and we don't have to go into those if you don't want to. If we do, we can. But you are notably a Christian conservative, somewhat.
Yeah, pretty Christian.
You said I love Jesus. He
I
saved you.
believe Christ died for my sins.
And so when did that happen for you?
So
you've been through a lot.
when my mom gets out of jail, everyone meets Jesus in jail, right?
Yes.
So we grew up
Or like a
halfway house or something.
hotel room.
Hotel room.
There's always Bibles in
It's
hotels,
always
right?
Bibles. The Gideon Bibles. You know what I mean? So we start going to church, but it's a very like Pentecostal church,
Right.
like a lot of like emotionalism.
I'm sorry,
Evangelic.
How long was your mom in jail?
3.5 years
And where were you when she was in jail?
with my grandma.
How old?
From the age of 3, which is when that story
That's
I told
right. She
you.
got at age 3.
From
okay.
3 to 7, but then no, it gets good. You're gonna start crying
This
here.
is just
It's
that's
gonna
just
get good.
brutal.
It's gonna get good here. So then my brother, right? You would think my mom would say, "Hey man, don't go down the road that this family's gone down. Go to the military, enlist, do something with your life." No. My mom says, "I need you to get me the best lawyer you can get. I need you to get Roy Black, who's a famous criminal defense attorney. It's going to cost you 150 grand. I don't have the money. I know this Colombian drug dealer named Diego. Go down and talk to Diego. He's going to help you out."
She says this to your brother.
To my brother.
And your mom and dad were divorced then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my older brother now, he goes and he starts drug dealing. So then eventually he gets caught and he does...
I'm sorry, Mike.
Take it-
He's like
it's too
so
big.
unprofessional. He's like, and I'm listening to this story.
So then my...
I'm so unprofessional. I'm giving you cues off camera, and you're going, what?
He's carrying me.
I should have said
So then my brother, who's like 18 at the time, my mom says, "Go and talk to this Colombian guy. I need you to get me Roy Black, who's this criminal defense attorney, top notch. It's going to cost you 150 grand. I need you to start selling drugs because that's the only way you're going to get me out of here." So the cycle continues. Rather than tell my brother, "Hey, why don't you enlist in the military, go and do the right thing, don't be like me." No, let's continue this cycle.
But so nobody thought to call your dad, or would he have just hung up the phone?
My dad probably had that whole drug deal thing set up because he wanted to put my mom away since she knew
Wow.
everything about him. Don't you
Just
remember where I
gets
told
deeper
you
and deeper.
where I told you she was arrested in Miami Beach by Hialeah police? What was Hialeah police doing in Miami Beach?
Okay,
and nobody
can I-
would move drugs through Florida without my dad knowing because he owned the place.
Can I just say, have you watched Queen of the South?
I have not.
I lived
This
it.
is literally, and I mean literally,
I don't have a TV in my home.
okay, then you haven't.
But this is literally a sub-story in Queen of the South. Like this literally, yes,
I mean, I guess when you're in this art imitates life.
it does.
You know?
It does. And so you have one brother, and he's older than you. And
I've got 3 brothers and 1 sister. I got
Oh.
one brother from from my mom's first marriage. Then there's my mom and my dad, which equals me. And then there's my 2 other brothers from my dad's second marriage, and then my little sister, who my dad is absolutely paranoid that she would do a Google search on his name and find everything out. But you can't hide it. Listen,
Your little sister doesn't know about your father?
Oh, she knows now, but this was like when she was like 12, you know. She's like 14,
And
15
are you in touch
now.
with her?
Um,
You talk to any of your siblings?
I try not to step on my father's toes. My dad's a control freak.
Okay.
So
Right now, wouldn't be doing that, right?
no.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't
you, Mr.
I
San
don't
Pedro.
you know, I talk to them as much as he's okay with it because he's very
See, I am I don't understand this mentality because I'm such a helicopter hovering, like, have to talk to my child once at least twice a day. And I just love hearing your voice.
But you're not a career criminal.
No.
No. Right.
Just a part-time.
Just part-time.
So there's really no paternal bond that would say
No,
I
my
want.
dad's never said I love you.
Oh, God.
I know, it's
I'm
sad.
so sorry.
That's okay. I'm here now.
Man.
It's part of life.
So let me ask you this then. Do you want kids?
Yeah. I have I haven't figured this part out yet.
Okay.
I have a little bit of an aversion to responsibility. You know what I mean? And I think that's also something that men do.
Yeah, don't have children.
Yeah, it's something that
I'm gonna
men
say
do.
no right now.
No, I'm sure I meet the right girl. But like right now, like it's just something I'm working through. You know, in Stoicism, which is a philosophy, it says the obstacle is the way. You know, so if you have an aversion to responsibility, you need to go and get responsibility. Like that's how I do it. Yeah. Like if I have an itch, I will try not to scratch it as long as possible. Like that's just how I do things.
Right.
You know, if
No, it makes sense. Like I get what you're saying.
This is my weak point, I need to go and work on my weak point. And like I'm very self-policing.
Well, I was just going to say self-policing or pleasing?
Self-policing.
Policing.
Like I don't need you to tell me I'm doing something wrong. Like I will tell myself,
know.
I'm very honest with myself about my shortcomings. I need to fix this.
Yeah. Well, being in a relationship seems like that's all they do is tell you what's wrong.
No. Some.
Well, you know, so you don't have a relationship right now.
No, and you know, I think
Have you ever thought of going on The Bachelor?
I am.
You'd be the perfect candidate for The Bachelor. You're
Listen,
good looking, you're smart, you're funny.
I get kicked
you're
off
young.
of Twitter. I doubt they'll let me into the Bachelor.
That's not true. Have you seen the current Bachelor? This
No.
is a shameless plug for The Bachelor. I'm not even watching it, but the current guy loves the Lord. He prays with the girls. I mean, it's like a real... I think you'd be perfect. I nominate Mike San Pedro for The Bachelor.
Make a couple calls. Let me know. Hey, we got my agent here.
I think you'd be great. I really do.
I think. Well, thank you.
It's very difficult to find someone nowadays, and then you throw COVID on top of it, where you can't.
And I've
even
got
stand
good credit.
6 feet.
I've got good credit.
Wow.
I got a 750 credit score.
Wow.
I got it all.
Did you hear that, ladies?
You know?
That's worth. That's like.
I think when
Because you're right.
That brings you from an 8 to a 10.
Just so you know, you do marry someone's credit.
Of course. I always tell.
Well, no, you marry somebody's debt.
I always tell people this. If I'm a girl, I'm asking guys, or I'm telling guys, finance before romance.
Yeah.
And if I'm a guy, I'm asking girls, how's your relationship with your dad? Because it's going to carry over into her relationship with me. Whatever she loves about her dad, I'm doubling down on it. Whatever she hates about her dad, I'm not doing it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple, you know, but
It's relationship advice from
I just don't like when people
I have none.
when people when men put people down or girls down in relationships. I think that's just insecurity and their shortcomings. And I think women, and I mentioned this a lot on my Instagram story, women want to marry and to be with a guy that mirrors the perfect father figure. And what does a father do when his daughter's doing something wrong? You know, he gently corrects her. He laughs with her. He says, no, mommy, it's not like this. It's like that. He explains to her why. And I don't care if the girl is like 16, 46, or 56.
You're such a great dad, because a lot of dads don't do that.
No, that's what they want the perfect father figure. So like you don't, I always tell people, women, and this is not a knock, women emotionally are always between the ages of 6 and like 21.
Probably.
Okay.
6 and 18.
And so at any given point, they're fluctuating. And that's how you have to treat them. You can't, the Bible says women are a very fragile vessel. And you can't be like, hey, you're doing this wrong. What the hell? You're so stupid. Like that you're going to break them and they're going to hate you for that. You need to treat them very gently, you know, like a flower. I tell people that all the time.
You're speaking my language.
All the time. I tell people that
you're right.
all the time.
You're right. But so most guys don't do that. And when you break a girl, you break her spirit.
When you break a girl, you break her spirit.
And it's really, it does carry over into the next person. And it's not by fault.
It's not by fault.
It's just because...
It's now a defense mechanism.
It's now a defense mechanism. I don't want to get hurt. I'm not going to go there.
Right.
Well,
so,
we just lost the women's lib demographic of our audience.
Well, listen, I'm a woman and I've had my heart decimated. And so I completely understand. But
He's not
back
wrong.
to you.
You're just not allowed to say it these days.
You're not?
Yeah, you were allowed to say it up until about 5-10 years ago.
About breaking a woman's heart?
About treating women gently and they are gentle creatures.
Well, the truth is that here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a little quick story because this really affected me when I was younger. My grandpa had diabetes. And
my best friend has diabetes.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but it's a real thing, and you have to be very careful. And my grandma would cook him meals, and they were bland, you know. So he'd go downtown, and people would tell my dad, "Oh, I saw your dad downtown with like ham and eggs and omelets," and you know, he was Italian, and so they loved each other so much.
Yeah.
But he would never, you know, break her heart and say.
Of course.
But I remember being in the back of the car one day, and he had both of his legs amputated.
Yeah.
One of his legs, I'm sorry. He had them both amputated in general, but this was when he had just had one. And he had crutches. And he had gone to the other side of the car to open up the car door for her. And I remember, I was like 5, and I was livid in the back of the car. And I'm thinking, because I was very close to my grandpa.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is she making him open the door? I don't understand this. But she was giving him the last bit of his dignity that he had as a man.
Yeah.
Allowing him to get on his crutches, go open the door for her,
Of course.
and get out. And I didn't understand that till later.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody opening your door or showing it, some kind of chivalry. And that might be different for everybody. This isn't some against women's lib. It's just basically saying, for me, those are the little things that, hey, a guy's actually thinking of me and wanting, to show that.
We have a thing where, we can't judge. I have no problem judging because St. Paul tells us that we are called to judge behavior that is outside of our biblical boundaries. So I have no problem with telling someone you are wrong. And I always say your mom is practice for your girlfriend. Your girlfriend is practice for your wife. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you always open the car door. You always mommy this, mommy that, yes, whatever. Like very gently. And I didn't understand that till later. I didn't get that till later.
In your 20s, you kind of went off the rails. And
bro, my 20s, oh my God.
Because I was going to say, you're a really good-looking guy. I mean, it's not like it's a secret. He's sitting right here.
Well, not now. You said it 14 times.
Listen.
Well, I'm only saying this because you must get approached a lot. And so how do you deal with the approach? Because you don't want to have a relationship and you don't want to break someone's heart. So what do you do? How are you handling your dating life, especially during COVID?
Well, like... I used to have
pressure.
On my large Twitter account, now I have a very small Instagram account, which I'm currently trying not to get suspended from.
Did you, just a little interjection, did you switch over to Parler and get canceled from them too?
No, I didn't do it because I knew they were going to get canceled.
Okay.
Like, you could just see it coming.
I mean, come on.
But I don't use, there's not one girl that will tell you he hit, like, I don't use whatever influence or charisma I have online to hit on women. Like, I don't use it for that. Like, that's lame. Like,
oh, well, okay, so to your point, it may be lame, but I actually had a guest on the show that met on social media and they're married. And they're very suited for each other and they're a beautiful couple.
Well, my thing is, like, I don't, it's lame for me is because it's a slippery slope. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, you got one girl and you got another girl and then you got another girl and then DMs get released and then this guy's using his thing to be I've seen it a million times from people.
Yeah,
I don't want anything to do with that. I just tell them I'm emotionally unavailable.
I love it.
But, listen, if it's a nice girl that comes along, no problem. But, here in LA, most women are pretty degenerate.
So what is nice to you? What is it that you want to out of a relationship?
What I consider, it's funny, someone asked me, why don't you have a girlfriend? And my response was, I don't need one. I try not to do things I don't need. Okay. So at the moment, I'm not there. I'm trying to save a lot of money now so I could buy a home in cash.
Gotcha.
At some point, I'll have a girlfriend, you know what I mean? But I can't, spend money while taking in money because then it's, you know what I mean?
I understand.
Taking water out of the boat, water's coming in the boat.
I get it.
Girlfriends are not cheap.
Women are not cheap, brother. I'll tell you that right now.
It depends on who you're with. I mean, if you have a partner
some guy
that actually
DM'd me
wants
today.
to be a partner
Some
with
guy
you.
DM'd me today and he goes, what does the Bible say about polygamy? And I sent him, he goes, I can't find the verse. So I sent him like 50 verses where it says it's a one man and one woman. And I said, even if the Bible didn't say anything, one woman is expensive enough. Try having 4 of them. Are you out of your mind, bro?
Oh my gosh, well there's that guy in Utah or Vegas or whatever. He's like Sister Wives or something.
I think...
Yeah. I don't think he's spending a lot on them, though. It's Utah.
Have you
seen it's Utah? Have you seen their attire?
Oh, gosh.
No, I think women...
Get in there and make your own dress.
I think the most attractive women are the most traditional.
Yeah, of course.
And women, feminism has told, and this is my opinion, not Cory's, feminism has told women that they have to compete with men, so now women are inferior men. You can't compete with us. We have testosterone. You have estrogen. You have a place. I have a place.
Literally, You're speaking to somebody who just wants someone to open my car door.
There you go.
I don't ask for much. Just open my car door.
You open the car door.
Be grateful and say, "Oh, let's carry each other."
You know what's funny?
I'm just kidding.
You know what's funny?
Somebody who's like, a welder.
Yeah.
It's right here. To be specific, the Bible says be specific.
You know what's funny?
I'm kidding, Mike.
In Genesis, God tells Abraham to command his household.
Yeah.
If you look at command, now we have it even in traditional households where, okay, I'm going to go to work. The woman cleans, the woman does the dishes. She cooks. The man goes to work. If you want to be honest with it, the man should be working. He should be coming home. He should be helping with the cleaning. He should be helping with the dishes. He should be helping with the cooking. He's supposed to be supervising. That's what the word command in that verse means. He's supposed to be looking over everything. It's not, well, you're a woman, go do this, and I'm going to go do that. It's not,
You just
that's
gained 3 points right there. You can tell by the look on her face.
No,
biblically, that's what it is. And I will say this.
I know.
And, it's
so
something.
much younger.
It's so funny. It's something that comes natural to me because Hispanic culture. I mean, I'm white, but my ethnicity is Hispanic. Hispanic culture is very warm.
Yeah.
And I remember being. My mom was in jail. Thanks, Mom.
The fact that you have this imprinted in your heart
it's indelible, yeah.
Because it's not how you grew up.
It's not how I grew up.
So
I remember though seeing the 3 years that I was living with my grandfather and my grandmother, and Hispanic culture is very warm, so we're very touchy. We're like, yes, mommy, this.
So it's Italian. I'm Italian.
Lots of very forehead kisses. Yeah. My grandmother would be in the couch. My grandfather would be in the back working. And instead of getting up and going to get orange juice in the kitchen, she would get up, go all the way outside to the back of the house, tell my grandfather she was thirsty and wanted orange juice, come back into the house, and my grandfather would stop doing what he was doing. He'd go, okay, mommy. He'd go into the house. He'd get her the orange juice.
Wait a minute. This is exactly my point.
Yeah.
She allowed him to command his own home and to be the leader. The men have to lead. It doesn't.
Well, that goes to the example.
Wow.
That's gonna kill us on
but this is how I feel. I'm not trying
this is fascinating. I think you're wrong on this, Bobby.
I didn't say me. Oh. I agree.
Oh well, listen.
Really
if you're not,
every female. What do you call it? Women's Lib who listens to this thing is going to, we're going to get that.
But here's the thing. That's Women's Lib. This is a conversation I'm having with my friend who, this is how I would have my house if it were my house. I just don't have that. I haven't been able to have that.
If you don't agree with this and you don't like it,
we love you anyway.
DM me when you're heartbroken. You're like, I can't make it work. I don't know why, because it works along traditional lines.
Yeah.
Things have worked a certain way for centuries, since the beginning of time. A certain way. You're not trying to do it differently. You're trying to reinvent the wheel.
They will find that most marriages where religion is a part of the marriage last a lot longer.
I was just going to say, my grandparents, to be specific, they lasted for 54 years. I don't know many people that have lasted for 54 years nowadays.
60 years.
It's a numbers game,
but
like you said.
I will tell you this. So I'm seeing all these like little things. I'm picking up all these little like cues about like seeing my grandfather do this, and I'm like, I think a lot. I like to think, reading books, and then I turned 30 not too long ago. I turned the page.
So young.
And yeah.
You're young.
And then I
Cory, we'll get you a time machine.
You've lived
I'm looking
like
at
Outlander?
But here's the thing about like the service towards the woman, right? And it's not like I'm trying to get laid, or that's not what it's like. It when you turn the corner and you see and I tell people, look, I wasn't around with Jesus. I don't know what he looks like. I hope it's true. I don't know. We have faith that it is, right? I mean,
it's called blind faith for a reason.
Right. I mean, in secular history, a man named Jesus was crucified by Rome. I wasn't there to see all the miracles. But if you look at how the Bible presents him, his life was an act of service for everyone. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to mirror someone, right, because he's like the perfect human being, you would want to mirror Jesus. So I'm not like, hey, mommy, let me do this for you. Let me do that. Or with my kids. Or, in that very hospitable way with acts of service. It's just that's what you're supposed to do, because the ultimate man, Jesus Christ, did that. So that's why I do it. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
I do see what
and
you're
it just
saying.
works out.
I got nothing.
right? It's like the math just works for me.
Speechless.
You know what I mean? Like the math just works.
Yeah,
and also like just from a mathematical like standpoint, like just mental math, like
Get out of my head. Get out of my head.
like mental math. Like let's stop it. Can we confabulate about this for a second? Listen.
Fabulous.
I'm going to put the definition right below you.
Really
Can we confabulate about this? I just paid for you to get your nails done, let's say, right? I just paid for you to get your nails done. It's like $60. Am I really gonna have you do the dishes tonight and put all those chemicals all over your hands? Like, like that doesn't even make sense. Like, on what world does that make sense? Why would I do that? No, let me do the dishes. I've already got rough hands, right? I'm a welder, okay? I just paid $60. You're gonna ruin your nails? No, please go sit down.
Are you going to Beverly Hills? Because it's like 35 over the hill in the valley. Well, no, I get it, and I think that your chivalry is. Honestly, it's what's that?
A breath of fresh air.
It's a breath of fresh air. I mean, there's, and I can't say this because it's probably you're right, Bob. But I have nothing against women's lib. I have nothing against them. If they come on the show, we can talk about it, and I will. They maybe help me understand something. I was personally raised in a traditional home.
Yeah.
I watched the traditions play out. And quite well, not with my mom and dad, but my grandparents.
Of course.
And I'm sure they had their own struggles, and but you didn't see this push-pull for power in the home.
Yeah.
The woman let the man be the man, and the man let the woman be the woman. And, everybody has a different opinion,
We are
and that's
equal,
why I love
but
it.
we are not the same.
Right. Yes. I mean...
You just took her breath away again.
What?
You just took her breath away again.
I'm just saying,
best.
I get it, and it's unfortunately when you do have certain shows that are they get a bit racy, and this is a whole other conversation. I don't even know how we got here, but
I'll just keep going with it.
okay. Well, I know I have this list that Bob's asked
it's
me
all
to
about
get to.
it's all about I think it's
Because 3 hours ago, what do I say? What do I talk about Mike about? What do I talk?
I was like, he makes me nervous.
I told you, you don't have to write anything
you
down.
nervous? I'm just a guy from
Not
Miami
nervous.
with a funny accent. I have a funny accent.
Not
That's not a
nervous,
big
but
deal.
you know what I mean, like fluttery and stuff. Smitten. That's
So
okay.
I think
can say that.
I think a big part of it is deliberate to undermine the family, the traditional family, because when you don't have the traditional family, and you have that breakdown, the masses are easier to control.
Of course, 100. You are speaking.
So
exactly.
I think it is deliberate. You can't have a presidential candidate that comes on and says, "I'm pro-family," but you never hear him say, "Listen, we're going to have to ban pornography because that undermines the family." You've never heard him say that.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you drive down Sunset and La Brea, you've got Hollywood High School, and across the street, you've got 2 marijuana shops in the strip club.
I know.
So I think it's purposeful, the subversion of the family, you know. And if you notice, the communists, the first thing they do is separate the fathers from the family.
Which is, we've all been separated for the last 11 months. In under masks.
It's
I mean, speaking of communism.
Right. Other ideologies which still get a bad rap, they talk about fascism. Fascism very, you could say whatever you want about it, but it is very pro-family. Mm-hmm. And very, hey, make babies and traditional family. And
well, having been married and had a child, and I was very much married. I loved my husband, and and then he left when she was 1.5 years old. And you are busy floundering. You're trying to figure out, how to keep your child's life constant. And you're right. It's a breakdown. It's a
breakdown.
I'll be honest. Divorce is an epidemic.
Yeah.
People don't work through things anymore. No. And it's easy to just get another iPhone and upgrade and 10 and 11 and it used to be 1.5 years. Now it's 6 months and the new one's coming out.
Yeah,
and we've developed this
mass
mentality.
Consumption.
Yes, that is
why the
trickling
divorce
down.
rate is so high?
No, it's a joke.
The only other option is death.
Oh. Come on. Bob, you're on a roll today.
I was driving to Arizona years and years ago, and I saw a billboard, and it was for a divorce lawyer, and it said divorce is $149. And it said until death do you part is taking too long.
Oh my God.
That was the slogan.
But see, I'm on the other end. I would have loved to have been married for 60 years. Give my daughter that gift, right? Where she now has the generational root of a successful
long... Yeah, but who knows? Maybe she'll get married for 60 years.
I pray for her, and I've been praying for her husband to come for many, many, many years, and that he's an amazing guy.
Which is, by the way, one of the problems with Women Live. Not that it wasn't a movement necessary for its time, but they promote you can have a kid by yourself. Why do you need a man? Every study in the world says a child growing up in a 2-parent household is better than a 1-parent household, or does better.
Yeah.
And it's not to knock either way, it's just statistics don't lie.
Right.
Well, switching gears, because, we obviously agree on that.
What do you think about, and I know we're going to head into something like, I don't know how much time I have you here for today.
I'm here until you don't want me to be here.
What's that?
So you got plenty of time, go ahead.
I will be here till there's traffic on the 101 right now. So.
Is it really?
Well,
wow.
it's I would imagine. So I might as well sit.
during
I
this
might as well sit
quarantine.
here with you than sit in traffic.
Wow. Okay.
You're so much more fun than traffic.
You always have to wah.
I'm very analytical. I always do math.
Well, I'm terrible at math.
FYI, I'm a terrible, I'm dyslexic. It's noted in every single solitary show because Bob loves to correct me, which I appreciate. But having said that, how do you feel about the recent nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize and the BLM movement?
Trump should have gotten a peace prize. He brokered peace between
Jared did, by the way.
Jared
His son
Kushner.
got
Yeah. Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to give it to Trump. I think this whole BLM thing, so I look at things very simply, in a very simple way. Is simply a word? Is that a word?
Yeah.
I look at things in a very simple way. And if you notice, white people raise their kids to not see race. Every other race raises their kids to see their race. And white people are told you cannot embrace your racial and ethnic identity, while everyone else is told you need to embrace your racial and ethnic identity. And you meet someone and you see them on TV and they're waving their, hey, I'm proud to be black, I'm proud to be Latino, I'm proud to be Asian. And that's why I said at the beginning, I think we're heading to a very tribal moment in history. I see more and more white people saying, hey, why can't I just be proud to be white? Like, what's the problem? Everybody else does it, so.
Because they will kill you.
Because they will kill me. But, I'm very, people ask me about my politics, and I guess this is my paternal instincts coming out again. And I'm like, you know what? Every group looks out for their own people. My politics are, if it helps white people, I'm in favor of it. If it hurts them, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I think like the BLM, and that's just more tribalism, and it's subsidized by the media, by the corporate world.
Well, it's interesting because
This is my opinion, not hers. By the
No,
way. So you guys can come after me if you guys.
They're
Oh.
pointing into the screen. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Well, what I'm about to say is, I didn't post on my Instagram. I'm not a really good poster. You can go on my Instagram and see I'm trying to get better. And I really love that, a lot of people all around the world reach out. I really do love it.
Yeah.
And I try to, communicate with them. And they're amazing people out there. But I remember somebody saying, why didn't you post the Black Lives Matter Black
this
thing on my page?
I didn't feel like it.
And I didn't not post it. I actually, to be honest, didn't even know about it until the whole thing kind of had already washed over, because I'm not on Instagram a lot. But I'll say this. One of my favorite people, and who is very dear to me, she is my stepmother. And I can't say enough about her. I can't.
Yeah.
This woman has exhibited every single solitary Christ-like quality that you could possibly think of. And I adore her. And she is half black and half Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been in my family for 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
She came from the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody indirectly or inadvertently says, why didn't you do this, or judges me, and they don't understand that this has nothing to do, it was just because I didn't hit that movement in the moment. I think that's where we've got to have grace for people and not understand, or try to understand, that you don't even know what's going on in their life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so silly for me to say, well, my stepmom's, African American, half African American. I love them. It goes way deeper than, right.
Because once they all post that, then they start looking for other people who don't, and they go after.
So I always say in my personal life when I'm talking to someone about something, I say, what's the psychology of this?
Right.
Right? So you say, well, why don't you post a black square? What's the psychology of that? Right? The psychology of that is these people are empty. They want to feel some external validation. So they're going to post this thing on Instagram. They're going to get likes, and then they're going to give themselves the hero badge.
and say, I'm a good person. I posted this. All of these people that like my story, they agree I'm a really good person, and they do nothing for the actual movement. So they give themselves the hero badge, but they don't burn any calories. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. I think that's kind of what I was trying to say, is that just because I didn't post it doesn't mean that Black lives don't matter. They do matter.
So,
all lives matter.
You know, I missed that whole thing, and when I went on there and saw all the black squares, I was outside, and I kept resetting my my connection. I thought the picture just wasn't coming up. Because some pictures, well, you know, like when you don't get enough reception, I'm like, and it took me 3 days before I realized that it was supposed to be black.
Yeah.
I thought the pictures just weren't coming through.
You know, you can edit this out if you want to, Bobby. But, you know, from an analytical part.
You just scared Cory.
Okay.
Whenever anyone says you can edit this out.
Hey, listen, when someone says, hey, what about the Black Lives Matter? And I say to them, what about the 20 white people who were killed in the month of August alone, starting with 5-year-old Cannon Hinnon, who had his head shot off by black people? More white people die every year at the hands of blacks than blacks die at the hands of police. 90% of interracial crime is black on white. I love my people. I care about my people. I don't, you know.
I hear you.
Politics is what you care about now.
What you care about now.
And the death of George Floyd was a horrible event, and it started all these riots because people cared about that. But they didn't care about the 5, 10, 15 people who die in Chicago, black people, every day or every weekend.
Or they didn't.
It's what you choose to care about.
Or they didn't care about the pregnant woman who George Floyd and 4 other men assaulted in 2007 while holding a gun to her pregnant stomach. They didn't care about her.
Well,
they
the
didn't
other
know
thing
about
is, and because I've had talks with people at work, and they said, you know, so many of this minority die. I said, yeah, probably hundreds of thousands of people die from drug overdoses every year. Do we not care about them? What do we care about? And it is. Politics is what you choose to care about at the time.
I feel like I'm like in a man cave right now.
No.
No, I know.
Yeah, with a big picture of lips behind you.
Those are mine, by the way.
I like them.
Do you? I actually kissed a piece of
When
paper.
she says hers, she means those are her lips.
Those are my lips. I actually kissed that piece of paper, and my best friend's niece colored it in, and that's our seal for our balm.
Oh, wow.
So
I still have the one that you gave me, by the way, and I use it all the time, and it is absolutely perfect.
And I think of you every time.
It is my favorite. It is my favorite lip.
It's like a
lip gloss,
luxurious,
I guess.
like it's a balm. It's a lip
It's a balm. It is the best one. I've had it. It's been like 9 months.
And I'm not paying you to say that.
No, you're not.
I know. See, I love that. And it's a jumbo, so it will last.
It's a jumbo. It's lasted me forever.
I know.
I have it forever. I was in Colombia and I had it.
You traveled with it.
Yeah.
They did
You
not.
said you could take it on a plane.
I did say you could take it on a plane. I did. You're
it is
right.
my absolute favorite.
I love that you love it. And guys
lip
love
gloss.
it. It's 5 ingredients.
Yeah, and I need it because I used to have really bad acne in high school.
How
I
is
had
that possible?
I had like cystic acne, and then I got on Accutane. You know Accutane?
Yeah.
It's like
The government regulates that,
it's
don't
regulated.
they?
It's like vitamin A on steroids,
Yeah.
but it cleared me up perfectly. Yeah, I was like everybody was. Yeah, it was terrible. Like I would hate to go outside. It was so bad.
Well, you're doing
But
fine.
it cleared me. But then what it does is
Really?
the Accutane it dries up the gland that produces oil in your body. So then
You don't. But then eventually you have to you don't take it anymore.
you don't take it anymore because the oil gland is so dry it doesn't produce any more oil.
Yeah, no, I know all about that.
Yeah.
Mine are minus.
But yeah.
All right, 3 questions.
Thank God.
3 words.
All right, we have to get to the end of our interview.
Why?
Unfortunately, I don't know because Bob.
You keep going. I don't care, but
No, he's he's got this whole thing planned out. So, we love Bob. You can't look though. All right, so we have these 3 things that we ask everybody.
Oh, okay. Here we
So,
go.
what are your 3 words that you would describe yourself? Choose 3 words to describe
describe
yourself,
myself?
I should say. Yes.
Intuitive.
Okay.
Selfless.
damn good looking.
That's 3 in and of itself.
I'm not paying Bob to say that I'm good looking, by the way. What was it? I said
Intuitive,
selfless. I've got ego a little bit.
Okay.
But you know what?
How do selfless and ego go hand in hand?
Because selfless is you want to do things for other people, and
Correct.
you would, if you had $1, you'd give it to a homeless person rather than
Right.
keep
I
yourself.
see.
Ego is
Ego is I'm the best person in the world.
I know what I'm
Ego is
doing.
I just did that.
Yeah,
I just did that.
And the Bible says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
So
But
my dad would say, show me a man without an ego and I'll show you a loser.
Do you know what Dwayne Dyer would say about ego?
What?
That you're etching God out.
I think this podcast is now far from done. You're not going anywhere, right? So
I just have a dog to get home to.
I think
The
ego.
longer we go, the longer it takes me to put the air conditioning back on.
I think ego is important for self-confidence. I think ego from, hey, I don't need God, I don't need Jesus, I've got it all figured out. That's ego towards narcissism.
Gotcha.
I think ego as in, I know what I'm called to do, I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. I think healthy ego is.
I think that's confidence,
okay.
and that's okay. Confidence is good.
I would tell every man reading this podcast to buy a book by Dr. Moore called King, Lover, Magician, Warrior.
Wait, what? I tried this down. Oh, it's on the
King, Warrior, Magician, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
Really?
Every man needs to be a king. Every man needs to be a magician. Every man needs to be a warrior. Every man needs to be a lover.
Wow.
And it tells you, it goes into the psyche how when you have a king with an ego unchecked, he's a tyrant. But when you have a king with an ego that is checked, he's very fatherly. Like, come here, let me show you. So, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's a really good book.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I have nothing. I haven't read this, and I can imagine those are words of
Even
wisdom.
if you're a girl, like you should read the book just so you understand what you should expect from a man.
Yeah, I need to read that.
Then it would be a queen, magician's assistant.
I need to read that because I don't know what to expect. I've really expected. One of my friends said you have really little expectations, and I really, really do.
Of yourself or of others?
I would.
Of my of what to expect from a man.
I will also have you know. I give the best advice. There's my ego. I would, if I were you, if I were Cory, I would write down on a piece of paper.
Done it. I did it.
What have you done?
What have you done? 26 days later.
No, what have you done on the piece of paper? What have you done on the piece of paper?
What have I done on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
I've written like what it is. I believe that the Bible says be specific in your requests and through prayer and supplication let them be known. I have been so specific that it's like, Lord, blah, 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 and
it's not a drive-through you can order.
Yeah, it's not, I prayed, bring, here it is. Listen.
No. I understand that too. Trust me when I say.
And by the way, God's not going to give you what you want. He's going to give you what you need.
I didn't need that last go.
Well, not always, but
okay.
Can I give you my perspective on all this God stuff?
Yes.
Can I give you okay.
Yes. Maybe I did. Maybe I needed to learn from it.
If I were you, I would just write, because you said, I don't know what to expect. I have low expectations. So my remedy is I would write down on a piece of paper what my idea of a perfect father is, the qualities of a perfect father, and I would look for men who mirror those, and look for people who mirror those. That's what I would do. As far as God, okay, here's what I tell people, okay? I have been praying since I can remember for a dad. You know what God has done? Zero.
But he's been your father.
Okay. But I'm going somewhere with this. Zero. Okay. When St. Paul, better men than me. Okay. I'm going to build to something here. It's going to open your eyes.
Okay.
And this is from John MacArthur. He's got the church in Simi Valley.
I know John MacArthur.
Hard to believe. When St. Paul was praying, I've got the story on my side. God did nothing. St. Paul was being led to have his head chopped off by Nero, the Roman governor, the Roman emperor. He was praying. God did nothing. St. Peter, crucified upside down by Rome. God did nothing. St. John, deserted on the island of Patmos. God did nothing. His saints, he did nothing for them. He's not going to do anything for us because God's concern for us is that we mirror Christ. It's not what house, I need a man, I need this. God doesn't, if he does nothing for you, if he never gives me a dad, that is okay because Christ died for my sins. And God's only concern for humanity is that we mirror Jesus. So when you pray to God and you say, God, I need a bigger home, God says, who knows your heart and your mind, God says, well, this is coming from a place of greed. She needs to work on the greed. You're not going to get the bigger house. You're not going to.
I didn't pray that, by the way.
I know you're not praying that, but God is interested not in solving your problems. No. God is interested in using your problems to purify you so you mirror Christ. Whatever you get, you need to go out and get. God's not going to do anything. And I see it because I grew up in these churches where Well, let's pray for this. Well, let's pray for that. Well, let's pray what college God wants you to go to. God doesn't care about that. You're here watching pornography at night. You think God's going to say, let's not deal with this pornography. Let's deal with what college you want to go to, son. Come on. He's not doing that.
There's no prayer that starts, "Oh, Heavenly Father, 3-bedroom colonial,
No.
2-story with
Or
a
or a girlfriend or what. Listen, I've been praying since the day I've told God, I said, listen, the Bible says the only thing worse than a non-believer is an absentee father. So if there's degrees in hell for punishment, there's a degree for a non-believer. Absentee fathers, there's a harsher degree for them.
I understand that.
I've been praying.
He doesn't know my story.
I've been praying. God doesn't do anything because God's concern is that you. And look, if you look at my story that I just shared with you guys, had he answered my prayer, would I be mentally where I am now? Absolutely not. So all these times I was like praying, God, help me with this. God, give me that. God, give me this. God says, no, we're going to use all this to make you a better person.
He did help you, just not the way you thought.
Just not the way you thought.
Well, he turns your pain into your purpose.
God does not.
And
God is
I
not
think he's
involved
good about that.
in that way that people think. It's a very easy sell. To become I could be a celebrity pastor overnight. I know that Bible from the back of my hand, and I could get there funny, cute, and clever on a stage, and I can manipulate it, and I could make $1 million a year. I'm not going to do that. And
you could actually.
And I could do the exegesis of any, that's another word, exegesis. I could do the exegesis of any Bible story. I'm not going to do that but it's an easy sell because you're online. Yeah. You read so many people. People are so desperate. Right? It's easy to exploit their feelings and what they think and to give them this false hope. And it's easy for me to come and say, hey, God's going to help you with your financial situation without me asking you why you're in that financial situation to begin with.
Right?
Yeah. God's not going to help you with your financial situation if you're a mass consumer, right?
I mean, you're right.
But people
get the popcorn prayers, and it's
but the pastor won't say that. The only one that I know that's for real is John MacArthur. But I can give you names, which I'm not going to, of famous pastors right now that say these guys are scammers. This and it's this feel good message, and praise Jesus, and God's gonna do this, and then what does that do? That just keeps you in a cycle. It keeps you going, and then you keep going to church, right? And you keep tithing, and then it's is God going to answer my prayer this week? And he doesn't. Well, I better go to church, because if he doesn't answer my prayer in church, he's certainly not going to answer my prayer if I'm outside. All this mental stuff that you give yourself, and going, and God doesn't do anything because God's concern is with you as a sinner. Not about
Where I
anything
got
else.
turned off on that, especially the tithing, was there was a very well-known evangelist on the radio. Somebody called in and said, My family's very poor, we lost our job, and we really just can't tithe this month because we need that money for funerals. And this clergyman or this guy said, who makes millions of dollars, by the way, on donations, said, tithing is the most important. No matter what you have, you need to tithe. And I'm thinking, that guy's taking food out of these people's mouths so he can have an extra $20 when he's got millions.
But here's the thing I have about tithing. We haven't been able to go to church in 11 months, which has been fun. But it's not that I wouldn't still give to my church, but I have a lot of single mom friends, and they happen to be passionate. I'm passionate about that area because I was a single mom for So I feel like you can tithe wherever your heart feels. Doesn't mean you have to be. It does. It can be, but it doesn't. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Right. I'm not saying that it should be. It's again that check in your spirit. What is God presenting you? If I see somebody who needs money, I'm going to give them money or some shelter or some food or it's
I just
really
thought about this.
Personal.
When the pastor needs money, he asks you for it. When you need money, he tells you to ask God for it.
I've never gone to the pastor and asked money, so I can't say that.
No, but when you say, "Hey, I need help," like Bobby said, the pastor says, "Well, when you need money, the Bible says ask God. When he needs money, he asks you for it." I think, and by the way, about the single mom thing. So my buddies and I, we do pretty well trading stocks in the stock market. Right? One of our friends, Ben, I think he's traded I think it was $175. He's got $35,000 now in over 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we should have had him on with.
What I want to do is I'm trying to think about how I would verify it. So, and I don't want it to be this big thing. I'll probably just put it on my Instagram. Hey, listen, if you're a single mom and you need help covering your rent, DM me. I won't put her name on there. I'll Zelle you the money. just to cover, because we've been doing so well.
You know what? I'll
to help
tell
single
you.
moms,
It is that it's only that, and I'm also an ambassador for the Boot Campaign, which is an organization that takes care of wounded soldiers.
Sure.
But the single parenting, when you lived it,
It's tough.
and you go, wait a minute, I don't have anything this month, but everything goes to your kid.
Everything
first
goes
of
to
all.
your kid.
And so there has to be some sort of organization out there that, I personally have a lot of friends that are single moms.
Yeah.
So I try to help within
Sure.
my circle and would help anyone,
Yeah.
But it's tough. And right now, especially with COVID and not having jobs and being limited and,
There's a girl that follows me on Instagram. She says, hey, we're going to start trading the stocks that you guys trade because we always alert them. She had like $500 and she sent me a picture of her account and I think she made like $500 today. So she's up to $1,000.
Really?
Yeah. So, but
Well, you're like some financial analyst guy. What are you doing?
no,
What are you doing now?
It's
Tell
just
us
like
what you're up to
it's
here.
just-
How are people
people
making
always
money?
ask me, hey, what do you do for a living? Because no one ever sees me work. So I always tell them,
That's the
no one
kind of
ever
job
sees
I
me
want.
work. So I always tell them I'm a drug dealer.
Oh my gosh! And
No, I
scene.
I just you know what? Like I do pretty well like just trading stocks. So
Even now during this
They still
kind
sell
of
stocks
volatile
in
time.
COVID, yeah.
Well, okay.
yeah.
What?
Well, I have no
Oh yes. Okay. I'm getting told what to do again. This is the theme of our
Tell me.
show.
Would you
This
stop
should
doing
be
that? Put 'em down.
Bob tells Cory what to do show.
Bob, you have Wi-Fi
Hi
in
and
here?
welcome to
Yeah,
the
no, sir.
Bob tells Cory what to do show
You know the Rorschach test, right?
with Bob and Cory.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Rorschach
So I'm
test.
gonna do the Rorschach test.
Okay.
Okay. So I have been told that I need to do this fast because I've not been doing it right. So
Okay.
I'm gonna do it right with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna carry you.
All right.
No. Quick up.
Oh, and I hold it.
Yes.
You have to say it right away. What do you see?
2 fairies.
He means fairies with wings, not the other kind.
Two Tinkerbells.
What's fun is getting to
Tinkerbells.
everybody's.
Two Tinkerbells.
And you haven't even done this.
Can I
yet.
hold this up? There are 2 Tinkerbells here. Look at their wings. Look at them. Their faces.
Oh my
with the things. There are 2
gosh.
Tinkerbells.
You're absolutely.
Of course I'm right. I'm right about everything. These are 2 Tinkerbells. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I am. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. I am right about everything because I just sit home and think and write.
Okay. Well,
right.
Do it again.
then there lies the
You're
perfect
giving it to him
man.
before you do
Okay.
it.
Well,
I didn't
so
see
sorry.
it. Man, he's like the warden over
Whip
here.
crapper.
The warden
Beg your
Bob.
pardon?
Jeez, the warden over here.
Okay. Ready?
Your dad's been to jail. Have you ever been to jail? Actually, I haven't, but I did do this show one time where the producer was,
Crack the whip.
It cracked the whip. Could constitute as prison time.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Ready?
Let's see.
Number 2.
Fox.
Okay.
There's a fox there, I promise. 2 bears playing patty cake. There are 2 bears here. Let me see this. There are 2 bears here. Polar bears. Look at their head. Look at their body, and look at them playing patty cake.
But patty cake.
There are 2 bears here.
You are so cute. I can't stand it. Here we go.
I'm a mush,
I know.
ladies and
Here we
gentlemen.
go. You ready?
Skull.
All right. Last one.
Female reproductive system.
You know, I gotta say, I've seen this now 6 times from behind, and it does resemble that. So there's really no conclusion to any of those. There'll be a show that's just all about that.
There is a conclusion, and it's what I said: the polar bear
You're
and the
right.
fairy.
You're right.
And the fairies.
2 polar
Anybody
bears.
could listen. A blind person could see that.
Listen, I saw what you saw. So we're simpatico right now. Our last question for the day is, I mean, I could go on and on and
We
on.
would
but
be
this
here
would
all
be
night.
like a 5-hour show, and
We
then
would be
nobody
here all
will
night.
tune in. I mean,
They will tune in.
no, they are tuning in. I'm just saying, like, So, who is, and do not in any way, I don't want you to feel obligated at all whatsoever, forever, right now, set forth herein, there too. Feel as though you need to say my name. Who is your celebrity crush?
My celebrity crush. My celebrity crush. You are a celebrity.
Mind.
No, you are. My celebrity
But
crush.
it's not you.
Oh, you guys.
No, I'm not putting you on the spot. I
Well,
don't want
like-
it to be me
like-
because that would be wrong for me to sell myself right here that it would be me. So
you
you
did
just
every other show.
pick your own person. You be your own person right now.
My celebrity crush would probably be Jenny Garth.
Oh my gosh.
Jenny Garth, you and I are the same age, and I can't believe he just picked you.
Over
Jenny?
me. Over me.
Over me. Jenny Garth. So you like
Jenny
blondes.
Garth. I like Jenny Garth.
That's cute. I wonder, she's very, very, very cute.
I like Jenny
Shame this
Garth.
episode will never air now.
I remember. I remember. I mean, I don't know what she looks like now. I mean, I just remember seeing her on
She's
TV
very pretty.
when I was a little
Jenny Garth
kid.
is beautiful.
I like.
She's on a show now, isn't she?
I like
Or she
Jenny
was?
Garth.
She's been working consistently. Like, she's very,
Jenny, if
very,
you're listening to
very
this, my Instagram is _Chad. That's _Chad.
Wow. Jenny, and that's, if you're listening to this, he literally chose you.
You know what's funny? I have never. I just thought about that. I've never asked myself that question. I'm very unimpressed by people. Like I don't like. And I think again that goes
Well,
back.
first of all, I'll say this: you have to go back 70 years to find for your celebrity crush.
Because I have to go back to like 1993.
Did you say 70
Not
years?
70, but I was like, I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Wait, nobody has asked me mine.
Who's your celebrity
Nobody has
crush?
asked me my celebrity crush.
Well, of course not,
Not sure
because
I'm gonna give it up
they're
yet.
not the host of the show.
Huh?
You're asking the
I
questions.
know.
Of course.
I know.
Well, I already know it, so.
No, you don't actually.
I know
I've
who it was
mentioned
2 years
Sam
ago when we
Hugum.
met.
Sam Hugum, if you're listening, we'd really like to.
He's your
He's my
infatuation
yeah.
right now.
But my celebrity crush is and was and always will be Mel Gibson.
I like Mel Gibson.
And I know a lot of people. There's so much controversy, blah, 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 but
I know where he works out.
You haven't seen the movie The Bounty. It's an old movie. It's one of his first. And I remember saying to my dad in the movie theater, oh, I'm going to marry that man one day. Obviously, that did not happen, and it's not going to happen. He's happily married. But nonetheless.
I will tell you this. He works out at the Equinox.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it on the air. We'll have to cut that out.
But he's actually very... I like Mel Gibson a lot. I don't know him personally, but he's very traditional.
Yes.
He's very Catholic.
Yes.
What we call, he's very based.
Yes.
And very red-pilled.
What is that?
Based and red-pilled.
Red-pilled. You take the red pill as opposed to the blue pill.
Oh, red pilled. I didn't know what you said.
He's very traditional. He's very
I understand.
He's ostracized by Hollywood for his views.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and for one of the greatest movies of all time, which is The Passion of the Christ,
The
which
Passion of
brought
the Christ.
I don't even know how many millions.
I don't know how you still have tears left in you, in your eye ducts.
I didn't. I drove home after that movie. I sat on my stairs and I cried for 2 hours straight. And I was like, I repented of every single solitary thing that I had ever. I couldn't watch. It's like, imagine. But I say this because we brought up Mel Gibson, and he's so talented, and he did so much for the Hollywood community, and he makes one movie, and may have said one or two things wrong. I don't know, but there's no forgiveness, and unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
I will tell you why they ostracized him off the radio, off the microphone.
Okay, well, they may ostracize me because he's my celebrity crush, but
he's
you can't negate the fact that he is a talented actor, and you have to go back. Now you have to watch that movie because you actually kind of remind me of him. To be honest, in his early days.
Can I tell you something about the whole repenting thing?
Yes. Tink is here, our dog.
Hey, mommy. So, Jacob, right? Mm-hmm. His name was changed to Israel after he wrestled with God. The name Israel means to struggle with God. Mm-hmm. When people who are of the faith, they're like, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or not. Like, I do all these sins. I tell them, listen, the fact that you're concerned with God on this level, the fact that you're concerned with Jesus on this level means that you have conviction of God in your heart.
Yeah.
Like that, you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
The fact that you're wrestling with God and this idea of God, and even me, I wrestle with God all the time, and we can have another podcast as to how I'll be super candid about my faith with God and how I wrestle with him constantly because I didn't have a dad.
I have a feeling you'll be back.
Because I didn't have a dad. So for me, this concept that God is not involved, but my dad is involved. So I wrestle constantly. But the fact that I even wrestle with this idea of who God is and how He's involved with my life is proof of my salvation.
Of course it is. Of course.
110%.
there's no doubt, he takes our broken pieces and mends them.
100%.
I've been through it too, and it's everybody has a different story, and your story is as sad as it is with,
It's a great story. It's very sad.
Having to deal with those kinds of things at such a young age ever.
We should
really.
make a movie.
Right. I know. But you have come out of it, and you said early on in this interview 2 hours ago that
how long were the other ones?
That they
20 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
not this long, but
no, it's an hour format. But you guys are good. You're an hour and 40 minutes.
But the thing is, you said that I forgot what you said now.
About what, Mommy?
I don't know, Daddy.
Mommy is a term of endearment.
So's Daddy.
No, it is.
Oh, God.
I know it is. Anyway, look, I am so grateful that you came today. Thank you. Thanks for carrying me through this interview and just being who you are and sharing and being transparent on the Coriolis effect. I don't even know if he knows what the Coriolis effect is.
We ask every guest that.
Do you know what that is?
It's your podcast.
It is my podcast.
But what the Coriolis effect is in nature.
Oh, I don't know that.
It's an actual effect.
Oh, uh-huh.
It was named by a scientist. I always forget the year. It's like
Joe Coriolis. He played third base with the Chicago White Sox.
No.
Oh, I know that guy. My dad sold him a dime bag one time.
It's when the right. Oh gosh.
Do not edit that out, by the way.
We don't edit anything out. I don't care what I say. It is a phenomenon. Anything moving north on the Earth tends to move to the right because the Earth is wider at the equator than it is as you go north.
Oh, interesting.
So it's going north, but it's really the Earth is getting. Anything moving south goes to the left. In the northern hemisphere, it's the reverse in the southern hemisphere. So if you have air flowing north around a depressurized spot, it'll go to the right. Coming south goes to the left. That will create the spin, which gives you a hurricane.
So the long and short of it is, I had asked my daughter something about the waves 3 weeks ago when we actually thought of this show. And she literally looked at me and she said, "Oh, Mommy." I said, "The waves are very big." And she said, "Oh, Mommy." I know she's 21 and she still says Mommy.
That's cute.
That's an English accent, apparently.
"Oh, Mommy." She said, "That's called the Coriolis effect." And I had literally that day said to Bob, "Let's come up with a name." And then I called you that night and I said, Coriolis, Cory Oliver, and it's actually what we're trying to achieve is bringing the right and the left together.
Spinning them around for a while and then leaving them friends.
And parting with peace and love at the forefront and not having, this great divide that is happening. And, I'm not trying to convert anyone.
Yeah.
I would love, for people to think like I think on every view, but I don't expect that. And so if we can live in unity, then we're good.
I think so. Bobby said when it goes north, it goes right. When it goes south, it goes left. I think what Bobby was trying to say is, you're going to heaven if you're right wing. You're going to hell if you're left wing. I get the connotation. I get the connotation. I have a question for you guys. Are you hungry?
I just had some pizza.
Oh, are you hungry?
I am. We'll go out to dinner. She's got to walk her dog.
Yeah, you guys have to come to my house first, and then.
Okay. Well, we can all go in my car. We'll go to your house, we'll walk the dog, and we'll go eat.
Okay.
After we take some pictures. And we're out.
Hi, guys. I'm Cory Oliver, and thank you for watching The Coriolis Effect. We hope you enjoyed the previous episode. Here are some more episodes you might enjoy. Hit the subscribe button below, and have a great day.